Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriritam Kalmashapaham Sravanamangalam Srimadaatatam Bhuvi Grananti Ye Bhurida Jana. So the Master with the devotees. It's Friday, March 9, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna continues with his discussion with the devotees. About 9 o'clock in the morning, the Master was seated in his room with Rakhal, Aim and a few other devotees. It was the day of the new moon. As usual with him on such days, Sri Ramakrishna entered again and again into communion with the Divine Mother. He said to the devotees, God alone exists, and all else is unreal. The Divine Mother has kept all deluded by her Maya. So that's the pertinent philosophy of Vedanta, that there is only one existence, the conscious, divine conscious principle, which Sri Ramakrishna designates as, calls as the Mother. And that's why you will find in the Gospel, in so many places, he is indicating that Brahma Shakti Abhed, the same Brahman, when finds expression as this creation, we refer to that creation as the Shakti, the manifestation of the Shakti of Brahman. It is just like the fire and its capacity to burn. Agni and Dahika Shakti. We can never separate it. So God and His power, they are inseparable. So God alone exists, all else is unreal. So this unreal, what's the idea? That this entire creation is a manifestation of the divine, but it is not something separate from the divine, or it is not even a transformation of the divine. That when we say that the entire creation has came out from God, immediately what's the conclusion we draw in? That it's something like parinamavad, that's transformation. Just the way the milk gets transformed into yogurt, as if God has got transformed into the creation. So here, just to indicate the fact that no such real transformation has happened, the term asat, or this unreality, is being used. So what's the idea? The God is as it is. There is no transformation in Him. If there was transformation, we could have never told that He is the eternal principle. Because anything which is transforming is decaying. It is changing its original form, original essence, and transforming it and getting transformed into something else. So the transformation itself speaks of non-eternity. So here, what's the idea? That God is as it is because of ignorance. From where it came, we don't know. It is appearing as something else. And the common examples which we give again and again, it is just like the rope in the twilight hours appearing as the snake. Or when I am passing through the desert, I see a huge reservoir. Actually, it is nothing but the mirage, the projection on the desert is the mirage. It is something projected. As long as the desert is there as a substratum, I see that reservoir. If the desert is not there, the reservoir is not there. So that in a way, desert is the cause, but it is not transformed. It is something which is being projected, which is superimposed That's the idea. It's the idea of adhyasa, superimposition. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna here is saying everything else is unreal, because the entire creation is something superimposed on God. So the Divine Mother has kept all deluded by her Maya. Maya, the word Maya means Ma plus Ya. Ya means Yatha Yatha. That to see a thing as it is, to perceive a thing as it is Ya, Yatha Yatha. Ma is a negation of that. That whatever I am seeing is not the reality. It is appearing. It is a negation of the fact. Just as Shankaracharya in his commentary very nicely is saying, just the way the sky appears to be meeting the earth in the horizon. Does really the sky meet the earth? No, it appears. So similarly, whatever I am seeing is just a mere appearance. I can never know a thing in its essence. Nothing in this world. Whatever I see is the projection of the mind. The external world do act as a stimuli. That's the only work it is doing. It is acting as a stimuli. But I am not seeing that stimuli as it is. The common example which we give again and again, the red flower, the redness is not outside there. It is projected by the mind. The external flower is just a stimuli. The light falling on it is reflected, touches the retina of your eye. There its function stops. The light doesn't enter the brain. What is entering is some nerve impulse. That light, when it touches the retina, then it gets converted into some nerve impulse of particular frequency, which when reaches the brain, which is the organ of the mind through which the mind is working. The so-called color perception center is not perceiving the color. That particular frequency generates the color. It's actually not generating. It's already there. The idea of all the colors are there dormant in the mind. That particular frequency activates only a particular color which is projected on the flower to give it its redness. So all the qualities which defines the flower, its redness, its shape, its fragrance, its texture, everything is the projection of the mind. What the flower is as it is, we can never know. In our attempt to know the world, what we are doing is we are constantly projecting the various concepts which are already there in the mind. With particular stimuli, a particular concept gets activated, and that's being projected, and that's what constitutes the world. So that's why Maya has been defined as aghatana ghatana patiyasi Maya. Aghatana, that nothing as such has happened in the world. What the Maya is doing, ghatana patiyasi. It makes it appear as if this has happened. This entire wonderful panorama, the wonderful sceneries, this world, this universe, the galaxies, whatever I am seeing, is the projection of the mind. That's a wonderful function. When the conscious principle comes in association with the mind, the entire universe is projected. Then is the mind something apart from the consciousness? No. Here again Vedanta is saying that it is the same consciousness which is appearing as the mind. It is the first superimposition. And then the second projection comes as the world. How it has happened, we don't know. And how are we sure that it has happened? Because that in all the religious tradition, we will find the mystics who through spiritual practice goes to the realization. We will find a wonderful thing. What's happening? That they merge in samadhi, they merge in a type of spiritual experience where they find that the only conscious principle alone is there, the world doesn't exist. So this merges into that. So from there they come to know, from there we have came to this state. But how we came, we never know. And that's the idea of ignorance. That's ignorance. That ignorance is called Maya. This Maya is something which is making us see the world something different. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna is saying. And that is the cause of all our delusion. The Divine Mother has kept all deluded by her Maya. And then he's saying, speaking of that this, once the avarana happens, the vikshepa. Vikshepa means once I see, do not see the reality, then it is projected as something else. And once it is projected as something else, that starts the causing various type of delusions. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna is indicating. Look at men. Most of them are entangled in worldliness. They suffer so much, but still they have the same attachment to woman and gold. So, because of this so-called delusion, the world we accept, we take it as something, a tangible reality. We forget that nothing is going to stay forever. This asat has two meanings. One is it is something superimposition which doesn't have a real tangible reality. That's one. And second is it's transitory. Now it is, in the next moment it is not. It is drishta nashta swabhava. Drishta means when I am seeing it, at that time only the process of decay has started. It is decaying. It is constantly decaying. Drishta nashta swabhava. So nothing is going to stay forever. But in our life, the way we interact with our life, it makes anyone feel that as if I am going to stay with all those things permanently. As if I am permanent, these are permanent. We always forget that nothing is permanent. We remember that when Yaksha, in the form of a crane, asked various questions to Yudhishthira, when he was in Vanavas, when he was dwelling in the forest, the other brothers haven't listened to that Yaksha, and they, without answering his questions, drank the water of a reservoir, and immediately they died. Yudhishthira was the last who was about to fetch water when he told, you will meet the same fate as your brothers. First you have to answer my questions. And among the various questions, one question was that what is the most surprising thing, astonishing thing, wonderful thing in this world? What is the most surprising thing? And Yudhishthira's answer was that every moment, everything is decaying. We see death constantly in this life. But somehow we never feel that we are going to die. Our life shows. If you ask me, I will say, yes, I'm going to die. But the way I act in my life, it shows as if I'm going to stay here eternally with all my relations, with all my possessions. And that's again the Maya. It is as everything is appearing as something which it is not. It is appearing as permanent, but it is not. So again this delusion. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, that we are entangled in worldliness. They suffer so much, but still they have the same attachment to woman and gold. This all our attachment, these two things, Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel again and again repeats, woman and gold. Actually it is lust and gold. That's what is the cause of all our suffering. You may say as if Sri Ramakrishna is too much stressing this. But if in your life you will find that how the Maya acts in another wonderful way it acts. That after taking this world as reality, when out of necessity I start acting, out of necessity, when I do it again and again, this repetition, as if creates a path in my mind, and as the path is created, I forget the necessity. Just to do it becomes my obsession. Now in all life form, from a bacteria, from a small microbe to the human, what is the basic necessity? Just the nature to sustain itself has made us its instrument and is making us do two things constantly. To sustain us, to propagate the nature, that comes later. First I have to sustain myself. To sustain myself, I need food. For food, I need wealth. And then to propagate the nature, then again, we have to procreate. So these two things, for procreation that speaks of lust. These two are necessity. But you will find what has happened, that because from the bacteria to the human being, the same necessity is being pursued repeatedly, and it has become a tremendous obsession. And once it becomes an obsession, we forget the necessity. Just to do it becomes our obsession, so a tremendous liking. And now you will find in our society, any crime, any wrongdoing, at last you will find boils down to this two, nothing else. You find this, either it is lust or it is gold. So what has happened? This again, see again, that out of necessity, again the Maya works. Maya works in so many stratas. It is not allowing me to see the thing, that these impulses are to fulfill certain necessities. I forget. And just simply get obsessed by them. And that creates all the evils in the society and all the suffering. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna is indicating. It is there's again, they suffer so much, but still they have the same attachment to woman and gold. And then Sri Ramakrishna gives this example. The camel eats thorny shrubs and blood gushes from its mouth, still it will eat thorns. So that because of Maya, we never learn from our mistakes. So in Sanskrit, there's a beautiful word called dharana, that through experiences, we never learn. Dharana means to hold on. That all the experiences we forget. We go on repeating the same mistake again and again. In the Gayatri mantra, this what is the main prayer? This dhi yo yo na prachodayat. This dhi, that the creator of all the world, of the three worlds. So I pray for enlightenment, and for that what is required? Dhi. Please enhance my dhi, dharana shakti, dhi shakti. Why? Because if I don't have this dharana shakti, I will be never relating to the world as it is. I will be constantly deluded. I will be doing the same mistake again and again. And that way, I will still remain in the bondage. There is no way I can come out of the bondage. As we find that, as we have indicated previously, that when Sri Ramakrishna, when Swami Sharadananda was asked, one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, the first General Secretary of the Ramakrishna order, he was asked that what is life? Wonderful, in one line he gave a nice answer. This life is nothing but a chain of experiences. What a wonderful answer. In retrospect, if we see, what's life? Nothing but chain of experiences. Those experiences again is not planned. We planned so many things. But when in retrospect, we see the life has taken its own course. As in the Imitation of Christ, that wonderful line is there. Man proposes, God disposes. So life goes on. And we go on gathering experiences. And when we look at in retrospect, we find that life is nothing but a chain of experiences. So in one line, what a wonderful answer is giving, that life is a chain of experiences. And immediately, the next question was yes, it's a wonderful answer. Life is a chain of experiences. What is the aim of life? Are we just to be carried away by those experiences? Sometimes going to the crest of happiness of all those experiences, again falling to the trough of all sorts of suffering and depressions, and as like an helpless piece of thermocol floating in the water. We are as if helpless, taken by the life, sometimes to the crest of happiness, again to the crest, again to the trough of all depression and sorrow. Are we that helpless creature? So again here we find Sharadananda is giving a wonderful answer. What he's saying? To learn from these experiences is the aim of life. That speaks of the dharana. If I learn, I won't be committing the same mistake again and again. The suffering should teach me. All the suffering, the cause of suffering is nothing, as Gautam Buddha has indicated when he propounded the 4 Arya Satya. So he never started with God. That's why Swami Vivekananda used to say that Gautam Buddha is the most rational person in the history of humanity. He's the most rational person. He never started from some assumption God, if I say that God is, it is just have to have faith. Can anyone show me? No. Buddha started with something which all experiences. When he came out from his samadhi, the 4 Arya Satya which he is speaking is wonderful. The first Arya Satya, the first noble truth is, there is suffering. If I say there is God, for most of us, unless a person have realized, who have realized? Very few. It's all assumption. But when I say there is suffering, everyone will agree, yes. Is there any person who have not experienced suffering in this life? So the first noble truth, there is suffering, dukkha. And the second, after speaking of the disease, he is speaking of the cause of disease, like a doctor. Now he is diagnosing what is the cause of suffering? That is tanha, trishna, tanha, attachment. That life is a constant flow, it never stops, but we are going to grab it. It's never possible. And that's this desire is the cause of suffering. Tanha, from all the desires, the suffering comes. So in our life, constantly we will find that it is our desires which is the cause of suffering, but we can never get rid of the desire. So that is what Swami Sharananda is saying, to learn from the experiences. That learn that all these desires, after all, is not going to give you any satiety. If we are as if in a treadmill, hedonistic treadmill, hedonistic, hellish, the treadmill. In the treadmill you run, you go nowhere. In the same place you are running. And all our worldly desires are like that. Ever running, never reaching, nor a distant glimpse of shore. In Swami Vivekananda's that poem to a friend, these lines come, that is life, ever running, never reaching, nor a distant glimpse of shore. That's what the life is. Constantly we are chasing after the desire, but there is no fulfillment. But we never learn. We go on doing the same mistake and again go on suffering. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna is saying the camel eats thorny shrubs and blood gushes from its mouth. Still it will eat thorns. It never learns. So this spiritual life, that's why dharana, that's why this Gayatri mantra is something, a wonderful prayer. That please give me that dharana shakti, the capacity to retain the knowledge which I gain from my experiences, so that I don't commit the same mistake again and again. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna is indicating here. So devotee, sir, why has God put us in this world? Master, the world is the field of action. Through action, one acquires knowledge. These answers sometimes, as these answers are so simple, sometimes we feel that this question, his answer is not something satisfying. But actually in these 2 lines, he has spoken of the entire gamut of transmigration. That this world is a field of action. Through action, one acquires knowledge. From where action comes? Because of ignorance. The ultimate reality is ever fulfilled, is eternal. The moment the conscious principle reflects in the body-mind complex, the ego is generated. That's from the ignorance, the ego is generated. It takes the reflection to be real. And the moment it takes the reflection to be real, the action pursues. How? That example which we give again and again. That just take a small micro. There the conscious principle is as if got reflected. It's a better way to explain ego is, it's an echo of the consciousness in the body-mind complex, from the body-mind complex. That when I am standing in front of a mountain, I am shouting my own name. And the echo, because of the echo, I feel someone is calling me from the mountains. So that's how we are getting deluded. The self in association with the body-mind complex is as if proclaiming, I am eternal. I am ever fulfilled. There is no desire for me. I am ever satiated. And the reflection echoes back, I am eternal. And now the self gets deluded, takes the reflection to be real, and gets identified with the body-mind complex. And it finds that the body-mind complex is constantly decaying. But something within is saying, I am eternal. The body-mind complex is constantly having this khut pipasha, hunger, thirst, want for its own sustenance. It has to have something from external world. But something within is saying you are ever satiated. You are beyond all wants. Now to realize this ego in the material plane, because of delusion, action starts. Even for a small microbe, if you give a drop of nutrient, you are watching through a microscope in a petri dish where the microbes are all moving around. You give a nutrient, the microbe moves towards it. It speaks of action. If you give some poison, some toxin, it runs away from it. So from ego, what comes? Raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Because of ignorance comes ego. Avidya, asmita. The asmita is the ego. And from that, the three main type of feelings come. What is this? Raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Raga speaks of attachment. Dvesha, abhinivesha speaks of fight and flight response. That if I find something is not favorable for my this psychophysical existence with which I have got identified, I run away from it. I hate it. That's the fight, and I try to fight it. And if I find I cannot fight, I run away from it. There's a fight and flight response. I go to the protection mode. And if I find that it is something which is helpful, favorable for my existence, I get drawn towards it. That speaks of the growth mode. I get drawn towards it. And all this speaks of activity. From raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, all the activities have started. And with these activities, what's happening? Constantly we are trying to fight with the nature to realize my eternity and dissatisfaction through this body. That has entered in all the process of evolution. That a small microbe finds its small change of the stimuli in the external world kills it. So what it happens? It starts conglomerating with other cells, starts dividing the labor so that it can fight much better with the nature. And that's how this entire evolution has happened, from the microbe till the human being, this complex system where we find a wonderful division of labor with all the various organs performing various functions. Why it has happened? This evolution has happened along with the transmigration has also happened. The same creature is transmigrating and again taking birth as an evolved creature. All this speaks of action. Why it is happening? To realize the eternal, the self which is constantly echoing from within, your eternal. And at last that knowledge dawns as a human being, which is at the apex of this entire process of evolution. As a human being, we have the capacity to realize that, oh, it's all ignorance. I got somehow identified with the body-mind complex, and I was taking the ego to be something which is real, and I was trying to realize the ego from the body-mind complex, through the body-mind complex, to enjoy the eternity and satiety. But after all, I am already that. If I am not identified with the reflection, I am identified with my real nature, I am already that. So this attempt to realize eternity and fulfillment in life was because of ignorance. There is no need for that. I am already that. So what has happened to the entire process of evolution? Because of ignorance, the entire biological evolution started. And that has brought me to the apex of the evolution as a human being, where that realization dawns, that knowledge dawns. I am already perfect. And from that knowledge, what comes? Renunciation. No more identification with the body-mind complex. I constantly try to associate myself with the self, not the body-mind complex. This meditation is what? I am not the body, not the mind, not the senses, not all these feelings and emotions. I am the conscious principle. This soham, I am that ultimate reality. So this is the knowledge. from action this knowledge has done. Just see in 2 lines, because Sri Ramakrishna is speaking from his realization. It comes out spontaneously. How simply in 2 lines he is just speaking the entire gamut of our journey as a psychophysical entity. That it's all entails in action, and all this action at last takes us to the knowledge. And for that, this world is there. The world is a field of action. Through action, gradually one acquires knowledge. So that's the thing Sri Ramakrishna is indicating. And then the Guru instructs the disciple to perform certain works and refrain from others. So now when you have realized that you are already the self, when that happens, that's the dharma in a sense. In what's this word dharma has 2 meanings. The one is dharayateti dharma, that what helps us to integrate, that is dharma, and another is vishishyateti dharma. First dharayateti dharma, that anything which helps us to integrate. As long as we don't have the realization that I am the self, in this life we have to follow the do's and don'ts. Why? Because this world which has been projected, it follows certain rhythm. Means the ultimate reality has find expression as Shakti, as this phenomenal existence is nothing but expression of Shakti. The entire world is nothing but Shakti, energy. But that energy is not chaotic. That energy finds expression in certain rhythm. In the physical world, we will find there's a law of gravitation is something universal. How we can project a satellite to go and land softly on Mars? Because we know the law of gravitation is universal. That same law which applies here applies there too. Because of the universality of these laws, I can do a precise calculation and project a satellite, and it can go and land on Mars. What it speaks of is universality, that the energy finds expression as some laws. In the physical world, it's the law of gravitation, other physical laws, electromagnetic laws, whatever you may speak of laws. That's in the physical world. But in our life, there are some moral laws too. And that also we can never break, know it for certain. In the present world, we are learning that we thought even a few decades back, when Francis Bacon, he declared, what is one of the things, knowledge is power. We all quote that knowledge is power. That statement, we take it in a very positive sense. But when Francis Bacon quoted it, he coined it, it had a very devious intention behind it. What it was saying? So that through knowledge, we come to know of the resource the earth is having. The earth is not willing to give it to us. But by knowledge, we can force it out. The oil is there inside the earth. We can pull it out. Use it for our purpose. Harness all the energy. And that was the idea with the science we got. We started harnessing the energy. But there's a rhythm called symbiosis. Now the science have started realizing that in nature there is synergy, win-win situation, that we have to cooperate with each other. Think of the balance of the nature and act accordingly. But we never realize that. That is the rhythm, that is the law. That the symbiosis, synergy is the law of nature. We never realize that. And as a result, what is happening? This global warming and other things. That present, all the nature disaster is what we ourselves never followed the law. We broke the law. That hidden law was there. When Darwin propounded this theory of evolution, the Second World War is because of Darwin's theory. He will say, we will laugh at it, but we will just try to understand how. It's a very interesting thing. He told that there is variation, that a same creature won't have all the offspring won't be same, there is variation. And because of the variation, there is the struggle for existence and the survival of the fittest. That among the variations, all are not equipped to fight with the nature in the same way. Those who are fittest, they alone will exist. Now, this Darwin's theory is okay, but based on that, some other philosophers started propounding many theories. They said that now that theory of evolution says that there is no God who has created. It speaks of history, that it is through our so-called variation, the struggle for existence has led to the evolution of the fittest being. The others have been exterminated. They have all become extinct. And they started giving example. Just see, the Greek, the Roman, the Greek civilization, the Roman civilization, they were extremely cruel. They were very intelligent, they were competitive, they were the most strong, powerful, and to really evolve faster, what they did, they resorted to cruelness. With all cruelty, they got rid of so many races, sub-races, and they were at the zenith, at the top of civilization. So this shows that how Darwin's theory worked. And we find that Swami Vivekananda was very much aware of all these ideas which were prevalent in those days. In one of his lectures in America, he's saying that you say that they are the most evolved being. But where are they? If they're the most evolved beings, as per the theory of evolution, they are supposed to be surviving, flourishing. So they are all gone. All those Greek civilization, the Roman civilization he speaks of, it is just all now monuments. They have crumbled to dust. Where the tyrant kings used to rule, there the spider now is weaving cobwebs. That's the words of Swamiji he is saying. So what he's saying? That it has all crumbled. How you say that this theory of evolution has worked? And then he gives a very nice example. He says that what you are saying as a theory of evolution actually is not correct. It is not through competition but through cooperation that evolution has happened. And then he gives a nice example. In his days, of course, this modern theory of synergy, win-win situation, these were not there. So he, in his own way, is giving a very nice example to explain that how through cooperation the real evolution must have happened. He is giving a very nice example. Suppose in a theater, some theatrical performance is going on and the hall is packed, and suddenly there is an announcement that the hall has caught fire in one corner. The show will be stopped immediately. You please all run out of the theater. And immediately there was a huge chaos. Because of the chaos, there was stampede. Most of the people couldn't come out. Only a few somehow managed to come out. Most probably those who were sitting near the exit, they came out, and others all, because of stampede and because of the fire, they all perished. Now Swamiji is asking, will you say the few who escaped are the more evolved creature? By chance, most probably they were sitting near the exit, they got out. What speaks of their compatibility? Nothing. It was just by chance it happened. And now he's saying that if instead of all fighting, if they made it a point, let us be calm, let us try to form a queue instead of trying to rush out, let us form a queue and then slowly come out of the theater. Let us all cooperate with each other. Don't you think most of the people would have escaped? That's the example Swamiji is saying. Very interesting. Hundreds of years back, before the synergy, idea of synergy was discovered. Now what they are saying something very interesting. They say that yes, what Darwin theory is saying is correct. The survival of the fittest. But survival of the fittest not as an individual, but as a group. They say that the Neanderthals were more intelligent than the Homo sapiens. They were more skilled. But why they became extinct? Why we are existing? They say that's only because somehow a part of our brain, the language brain developed, which helps us to communicate. Through communication, we started forming groups, cooperate with each other. And as a group, when we formed a group, started cooperating with each other, then we easily could fight out the Neanderthals, and gradually they became extinct. It is we who have flourished. It happened through synergy. Everywhere you find, in the redwood forest tree, the redwood trees are not supposed to live for hundreds of years because their roots are very shallow. It never goes deep. A little strong storm is supposed to uproot the trees. But you will find in the redwood forest trees, the trees are never gets uprooted. Why you know? Because when a small redwood sapling comes out, immediately the entire forest, all the trees, they form a wonderful network of their roots. They all will be intertwining. The moment a small sapling will be just having its root, the big trees will come and intertwine with its roots and give it a very stable base. And that's why these trees can survive all sorts of storms and natural extremities. They can survive. So again, it speaks of cooperation. You go to this coral reef, these all most vulnerable creatures, they have all came together to form these reefs. Again, it speaks of cooperation. Individually, they wouldn't have survived. So those who have cooperated, as a group, they survived. Those who couldn't cooperate, they became extinct. The same theory, now you will find, is being interpreted in a total different way. But when they were interpreting as an individualistic struggle, then the question came of from the Darwin's theory, Nietzsche developed a very, very fatalistic theory. He told that it's because of, you look at the history, those who were a bit evolved, they tried to exterminate the weak ones and accelerated their progress and went to the zenith of civilization. From this, Hitler got the idea that Aryans are the supreme race. Others are all inferior. We can really think of a very fast evolution if we can exterminate others and have only the pure blood. The entire Second World War came out of that. Swami Vivekananda, when he was traveling in the West, he told that entire Europe is sitting on the apex of a volcano to explode anytime, when no one realized. It was in 1890s. At that time he's saying that there was no inkling of any world war. But he understood that tremendous sense of competition, the sense of superiority, fight, that was the thing which was prevailing. He was saying his entire Europe is sitting on the tip of a volcano to explode anytime. Why we are saying all those things? That when the creation is there, just as the law of gravitation is valid anywhere, electromagnetism is valid anywhere, similarly there are certain moral laws. As in Bhagavad Gita, they say, Sahayagya praja srishtva. When God created this creation, He created it with yagya. If we translate the yagya as fire sacrifice, no, it means interaction. In the fire sacrifice, there is interaction. I offer oblations to the fire, hoping that these oblations are carried by the fire to the devas, to all the celestial gods, like the rain god, the wind god. And they will give me the exact amount of rain, not too much rain, not too less, so that I can have in bounty the food, the crops, everything. So it's a question of give and take. I give you oblations, in turn you give me all the resources. So this give and take is the real idea of yagya. So when in Gita it is mentioned that when the creation happened, it happened along with the idea of yagya. And that if you follow that yagya, the yagya will become like your kamadhuk, the milching cow. You can get as much milk as you want. So this law of nature, if we break, we are going to suffer. So that's why the dharma means what? That when I am yet to have the idea of the spiritual identity of myself, I am still in this phenomenal existence. This phenomenal existence follows certain laws. The ultimate reality, when it finds expression as a phenomenal universe, it finds expression as laws, which can never be broken. If I break a law, then how is it law? I can never break a law. There's like gravitation. Can I break that law of gravitation? If a person says, I don't believe in gravitation, and jumps out of a 20-story building thinking I will fly, is he going to fly? That I don't believe in gravitation, so I will fly. Whether I believe or not, gravitation is going to act on me. I will just simply collapse and die. Similarly, all these moral laws, as when this creation is there, they are as valid. Now you will find that why there are commandments in all the religions. In Vedas there is the Vidhis, Nishedas. In the Abrahamic religions there is the commandments. This speaks of those moral laws. I can never break them. In my attempt to break them, I will break myself. And then, as a civilization, we have started realizing, we will say we have done historical blunders. So many historical blunders we do. Because we will find, knowingly or unknowingly, we have tried to break the laws which can never be broken. So that's why first thing the Guru does to the disciple, who is yet to evolve to the spiritual realization, he instructs him in dharma, which means dharayat iti dharma. The do's and don'ts, first know that. So that's what the Guru instructs the disciple to perform certain works and refrain from others. This vidhi nisheda. And then again he advises that now the do's and don'ts you must know. But again, you shouldn't get attached to the do's, thinking that these are the things which I am supposed to do, so I will do them and get the result out of it, enjoy the result out of it. Then again you will get bound in the spiritual sense. So you have to do with a detached manner, so that at last it takes you to the another meaning of dharma. What is that? Vishishyate iti dharma. What it means? The specific characteristic of a thing that defines it. Like the dharma of water is to flow. The dharma of fire is to give heat. Similarly, what is the dharma of a human being? What is the specific characteristic of a human being which differentiates it from other creatures? Very nicely, Swami Vivekananda in his lecture is saying that a human being is not born to enjoy the sensate pleasures of life. And a very nice example he's giving. He says that if it was a fact that I was born as a human being to enjoy the sensate pleasures of life, you will find that nature has not devised us for that. Can you enjoy a meal just the way a dog enjoys a meal? Its senses are very keen. That's why we use the dog to smell in any crime, site of crime, to find out. For investigation we use them. They have a very intense, keen sense of smell, taste. Other animals, even the birds, they can hear very low frequency sound. A pigeon sitting about 10 kilometers away from the ocean can hear the rumbling of the ocean. It can hear because it can hear very low frequency sound. In this, the sound which is much lesser than the 20 hertz, which we cannot hear. So their senses are more keen. However, with all our technology, we may try to enhance the sense pleasures. Still, we can never enjoy the world the way the animals enjoy. So Swamiji is saying, as a human being, that is not our uniqueness. That we, out of ignorance, think that enjoyment is the be-all and end-all of life, and we try, know it for certain animals do it much better than us. And then what is the special characteristics that differentiates us from all other animals? That we are the being. That's in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, in some other context, so many times. Sri Ramakrishna in simple word is saying, Manushi ekmatro jeev je bhagavan chinta korte pare. That man is the only creature who can think of the divine, the spiritual dimension of his existence, can think of God. No other can do that. That's the characteristic. So that's the vishishyate. There's a special uniqueness. For that, first you know the do's and don'ts. Now to realize that uniqueness as a human being, now there is some other procedures. After knowing the do's and don'ts, do the do's disinterestedly. That will gradually take you to that wisdom of the spiritual dimension of our existence. That's what Sri Ramakrishna is indicating in his next advice. Again, he advises the pupil to perform action without desiring the result. the impurity of the mind is destroyed through the performance of duty. It is like getting rid of a disease by means of a medicine under the instruction of a competent physician. So, because of the disease, we are in this ignorance. We have forgotten our spiritual identity. Now, what is disease? Very nice. That what actually is disease? That when I am healthy, you will find I am not aware of any particular part of my body. The entire body is throbbing with energy, vitality, health. When what is the symptom of disease? When suddenly I start saying my head is aching. My heart, there's an ache in my heart, in my knees, my stomach. So what has happened? The consciousness which was percolating your entire body now gets localized. My head is paining. Your entire attention is on the head. There's a toothache. My heart has a pain. My stomach is paining. Knees are paining. So the consciousness is getting localized. So in spiritual sense, the biggest disease is the non-dual conscious principle, which is non-local, gets localized in this psychophysical existence. And then all the ease has gone. Dis-ease, the ease, your ease is no more there. That's what's the meaning of the word disease. So here also Sri Ramakrishna is indicating that because of the ego, because of your localized consciousness, which actually is that non-local, has got localized in this body-mind complex, we are all diseased. And to get rid of the disease, there is a way. What's the way? Just the doctor gives you prescription for your disease, that first develop that detachment. As even we were speaking of Buddha, that there is suffering, the cause of suffering is attachment. And then there is a way out. It's not that you have to stay with the disease through eternity. There is a way out. And then the last noble truth is, there's a way out is the third noble truth, and the last is there is a prescription. You follow this 8 path, this 8 ways path he has shown, Ashtamarga. Through that you can go to that realization. So here also Sri Ramakrishna is saying the same thing. There's a way out. The first is to develop the detachment. The tanha speaks of attachment, to develop the detachment. So do all the actions with detachment. In a simple way, we can explain that what is the cause of our bondage, the transmigration, the cycle of avidya, kama, karma. Because of ignorance, we have this, the desire has come into existence, and from which has ensued all actions. Now it's like the moving of the fan. The fan is moving, behind which the current is like the desire. Now to stop the fan, what I will do? I will switch off the fan. Will the fan stop immediately? No. Because of its past momentum, it will go on revolving for some time, and when this momentum is exhausted, then it stops. The same thing is the thing which the Guru is prescribing for the disciple. That first know the do's and don'ts, and for the do's, now you switch off. What is the switching off? Don't do it with detachment. This attachment is the connection which is giving it the force. Do it with detachment. Then what happens if you can do it really with detachment? We have switched off. Because of the past momentum, the actions will follow for some time. That's the idea of the prarabdha karma. It will follow. But ultimately, at last, as the driving force has been disconnected, it falls off, stopping the process of transmigration, taking you to the liberation. So that's the thing. In simple language, Sri Ramakrishna is the first. Know about your do's and don'ts. The Guru instructs the disciple to perform certain works and refrain from others. So the vidhi and nisheda. And then he asks the people to perform those actions without desiring the result. The impurity of the mind is destroyed through the performance of duty. It is like getting rid of a disease by means of medicine under the instruction of the competent physician. So what's the instruction the physician has given? The physician is the bhavaroga vaidya. He is a physician to cure us from the disease called worldliness. So what's the prescription? Detachment. I still remember that our 12th president, Swami Bhuteshanandaji, he used to meet the devotees, and he was a very jovial person. devotees were very much attracted to him because the way he used to deal with them wisely, maturely, and at the same time very endearingly. So one day one lady devotee came and she was crying and she told, oh, life is full of suffering. So much of suffering. Isn't there a way out? And Bhutishanandaji, in his usual way, was smiling and he told, it's very easy. It's very easy to get rid of suffering. And that lady thought most probably, after all, he's a spiritually enlightened person. He's going to give me some miraculous cure from all the suffering. Well, what is it? Well, nirbashana, just get rid of the desire. So then she immediately got very much disheartened. She never thought that this is the thing which he is going to say. As we will find almost same type of instruction in the Bible. When a rich man was asked Jesus that how he can attain enlightenment. And Jesus told that distribute all your rich among the poor and follow me. He got disheartened. The simple thing that how is it possible, the tremendous attachment to come out of that is the simple thing which can take us to the eternity. We never believe in it. Then that's why we find there are so many instructions. Sometimes these simple instructions are so powerful. Then I will just relate one incident and then conclude today's class. Anna Hazare, you might have heard. He did lot of work. I am not going to that. But he's a great admirer of Swami Vivekananda. In one point of life, what happened, very interesting, he had no work. He was actually working in the army in the short-term commission. It was just a few, and then he got retired. He was still in his 20s. And then he had no work. A sense of meaninglessness came in his life. And he thought, what's the use of life? I will commit suicide. And he was standing on a railway station waiting for a through train to pass. The train was not supposed to stop in that station. And he thought, when it passes, I will jump. And now there was an announcement that the train is delayed. So that through train is delayed by another half an hour or something. Now this made Anna Hazare very restless. Because he has already decided to jump and now another half an hour time is there. So he was restless. He felt he had to do something. And he saw a bookstall in the railway station. He went there and he was just fumbling through a few of the books, and then he suddenly got hold of a small booklet. It was the teachings of all the quotations of Swami Vivekananda. And just see how sometimes miracle works. When he opened, it was just randomly opened a page, and the message which he saw was very interesting. How many lives you have wasted? Why not give one life for me? Means for an ideal. That so many lives you thought this all through this attachment you are going to get thing, and became old, disease, death, and it's all waste. Nothing has happened. You gained, nature has given you something, again it has taken away you from something, another birth. That's what was going on. You're wasted. And I say that detachment is the way out. So you have already given so many lives and wasted. Why not? Though you feel that this is the thing which doesn't appeal you, but you have wasted so many lives by following your directions of life. Why not just give one life to this ideal? That made Anna Hazare come back from the railway station, and all the work he started. That's why if you see Anna Hazare is giving lecture to the public, sitting on a dais, on the background of the dais, invariably you will see a picture of Swami Vivekananda. So he got that inspiration from that one line. That suddenly gave that inspiration. So that's the idea. That instruction, the Guru gives the Guru like a physician has given you that instruction. Follow it. That will take you to that Visheshyata, that as a human being, that we have the uniqueness to realize the spiritual dimension of our existence. That Visheshata we will realize. That's the second meaning of dharma. So in these few lines, Sri Ramakrishna is indicating the entire gamut of our spiritual journey. So we will continue with this discussion again in the next class. So thank you all. Namaskars.